Everybody. It's great to see you again. This is me, Abby Road Rage. This is the beautiful Claire Bacon, aka Slutty the Clown, and we are back with once more with Abby and Claire to discuss all things the Buffy. So I do want to start out by saying what I say all the time, which is just interact with us, because we don't know if anybody's watching this and we don't know if we're doing anything that you hate. Like, I know for a fact that I'm constantly fidgeting and I must make people crazy. But that being said, just interact with us. Come chat with us. If you want to come on the show, we'd love to have you. If you just want to like type from the sidelines, that's awesome too, because it gives us something to do. And then you'll see me make this face because I can't see and then Claire has to read me the comments because I can't see. But this week we are starting off with Lie to Me, season 2 episode, which is this? I don't even remember.
Season 2, episode 7.
Episode 7, Lie to Me, where we meet.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this little screen thing off my screen and it's not working.
Yes. I know.
I am here.
Adam keeps emailing and it's, I lost Claire. Can you hear me? I'm all alone. Hi, guys. So when you're doing these things and you only have your phone and then you forget to mute your chats and then all you see is these flashes coming up over and over again. But I seem to have lost Claire. I think I'm still going live. So I'm just going to start. This episode, Lie to Me, takes place where we meet Billy Fordham, aka Ford, who is a non-romantic schoolmate. Oh, wait, she's coming back. I don't know if she could have heard me the whole time. Can you hear me now?
We lost our stream completely. I have no idea what happened then. I was
telling them it still showed that I was going live, but I have no idea if anybody could see or hear me. So we're just going to jump right into Lie to Me. So we open up meeting Billy Ford, who is a non-romantic schoolmate of Buffy's from back in the day in LA, and just happened to be transferred to Sunnydale. I don't know what his dad does, but his dad has a professional transfer a lot. So he now is going to finish out the school year in Sunnydale with Buffy. And we meet him as they're trying to figure out, Xander's being Xander, what makes Buffy happy. And she hears from behind him Oreos and an apple juice. And he's like, or she might have grown out of that. And then Buffy turns around and it's Ford and it's Buffy.
Oh, yes, there's a moment.
And then, obviously Xander's instantly jealous. But we find out that Buffy did have a huge crush on him back in the 5th grade and that Ford was much too old and a 6th grader to have anything to do with Buffy then. But Buffy does mention that she used to listen to the Divinals, I Touch Myself, when thinking of him, but not in that way because
she didn't know what it meant.
She didn't know what it meant. And then later Willow's like, that's what that song means? Like,
yeah, that was such a good bit.
Yeah, I remember my first boyfriend when that song came out. But anyway, so let's see. We do find out pretty quickly on when she goes to hang out with Ford that he already knows she's the Slayer. And he's kind of setting her up to show him so that he can admit to her, I already knew this. And kind of blasé about it. There's a lot of awkward Angel and Buffy moments because will they, won't they? This relationship they know can't work. And blah, blah, blah. My favorite part, which is when Angel shows up in Willow's room, but I might be jumping the gun a bit. So, well, no, I guess not. So basically, Angel shows up at Willow's bedroom window and she lets him in her Willow way. You have to let me, oh, yes, do come in. And, but she's not allowed to have boys in her room. So Angel says he'll be good. And basically he says, look, I got a hinky feeling about this kid. And she's like, can I say something to you without you, trying to eat me? Yeah. And he's like, you're going to tell me I'm jealous. And she's like, well, you get that way. And he's like, yeah, I get that. But this isn't that. Like, I know people, I've been around for a couple hundred years now. And I know people, and this kid there's just something not right about him. He's like, do me a favor. Don't say anything to Buffy. Just check it out. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But if we're right, then we save our friend. One thing she does find out pretty quickly is that he's not registered at Sunnydale High, even though he's been showing up there every day. So she really doesn't know what's going on. And then I guess at the Bronze, is it at the Bronze where her and Angel and Xander meet the vampire wannabes that Ford has been hanging out with. And one of them, which I'm assuming you know, Chantel.
I've got this. You know what I've got on this.
Chanterelle. So this is the first time in a couple future times we will meet her, and I'm not going to give anything away yet.
She's also Lily, and she's also Anne.
And she's also Anne. And so we meet her as Chanterelle, we meet her as Lily in another episode, and then we come to find out how she becomes Anne in a Angel Buffy crossover extravaganza, which again, we'll be jumping the gun. So, but these wannabes talk about the beautiful ones. They're totally the Anne Rice. If Twilight were out, then it would have been them.
Absolutely.
The romanticized versions of vampires. And basically Ford's friends overhear them talking about what bunch of lunatics they are, and the Slayer's gonna, what's she gonna think when she finds out when they show up where he's hanging out. So it wasn't the Bronze, it was whatever place they have their little club. And so basically Buffy and Angel have this talk. It's the first time she admits she loves him out loud, which is kind of sweet.
It is.
We see that Ford goes to Spike and says to Spike.
The very boo hiss moment is very like, where'd you go?
That's when you're like, wow, you really crossed a line. The fact that Spike didn't kill him on the spot says something. There's some prime Drusilla moments in this. But basically what we find out is that Ford really wants to be a vampire. And he thinks if he can trade the Slayer to Spike on a golden, silver platter here, that he can make him a vampire and he can live forever. So we fast forward to Angel and Buffy being awkward and trying to walk through it. And Angel even says to her, do you love me? Like, tell me honestly. And she's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, yeah, me too. So I got to tell you about some of the bad shit I did back in the day. Speaking of Drusilla. And basically his gruesome past, he met sweet and lovely Drusilla. And we don't know her whole backstory yet, but we will come more on that later. But we do know.
We do get a very good outline in this one.
Yeah. Before he changed her into a vampire, he made her crazy. And he killed her whole family, and he drove her absolutely bonkers insane. So he is completely 100% responsible for making that psychopath.
Absolutely.
And
when they say it's a maker or a slayer, it definitely was.
Exactly. And you're starting to see the ancestral relationship of all these vampires come back in. You've got Darla being Angel's sire, and Angel being Spike's sire, and being Drusilla's sire. And I love the timelines. One of these days I want to do like a family tree, but
yeah, that would actually be a really good idea.
Wouldn't that be fun? That'd be a neat project. I'd need you for that. And then Angel does tell Buffy what he found out about Ford, and that he's part of this obsessive cult that worships vampires. As a matter of fact, Angel tells Chanterelle, like, you're a moron, you're an idiot, they don't care about you, they're going to destroy you. And she's like, you don't have to be rude about it. Like, she really in her little head thinks that these are the beautiful,
it's all great and romantic, and it's an Anne Rice novel.
Shiny vampires. And so anyway, Buffy does realize it's not just Angel being, like, she starts to piece things together, especially when she goes back to the library to, did I say library? I hope I did not. Library to see.
You did say library, not library.
Okay, because it was fast and I just wanted to make sure. And then basically tells him, no, Ford, he can't be. He killed a vampire in front of me. Like, he totally took one out. And then all of a sudden a vampire like busts through the library with a book in her hand. Stole a book, and goes out through the back stacks. But it was the same vampire that Ford had said previously that he had
killed in the alleyway.
So now she's realizing that there's, she's supposed to meet him later that night, and she's going to foil what she knows is a trap. So she's going to show up early, and Ford knows her well enough to know that, of course, she's going to show up early. So he traps the trap, and basically once she gets inside there, the doors all lock, and they can't be opened again except from the outside. And the sun
So
is
they're
going
basically
down.
waiting for nightfall as such.
Mm-hmm. And all the other people can't understand why she's so scared and why she's so upset. They're going to give them this beautiful gift. And she takes, I almost called him Parker, Jesus, Ford aside, and another asshole she dated. And,
yeah,
you know, I just punch him out once or twice. But basically, he tells her that it's not fair that they get to live when he's dying. And we come to realize that he has brain cancer.
yeah.
And that this was his one hope. So she says, there's no way they agreed to change everybody. You gave them all of these innocent people.
It was a
in
trade
exchange
off
for your life. And he's like, they're not innocent. And look at them, they're sheep and this and that. And then the sun goes down and Spike busts through the door. And it's just such a great moment because Buffy knocks Ford out and leaps up, grabs Drusilla as the vampires are just like feeding on everybody. And you see Spike grabs Chanterelle and is starting to feed on her. And Buffy grabs Drusilla and a steak. And she's like, you know, everybody goes or she gets it and she's dust and you'll put her in an ashtray. And Spike agrees begrudgingly to let everyone go. And Buffy gets them out, and then Ford's still knocked out, and she locks Spike, Drusilla, and Ford in the bomb shelter / basement area that he set up the trap for her. So by the time Ford wakes up, he's like, "What happened?" And he's like, you know, what? And he's like, "Yeah, basically, it's just us and you." So he's like, "Well, I gave you what I said I would, and you owe me." And you just see Spike kind of, yeah, you'll get yours. And there's a nice scene at the end with Buffy and Giles in the cemetery, a nice moment that they have. And then this vampire pops up. Now I have to ask you, or anybody else listening, is that vampire Ford? Because I feel like it is. They don't say it in any of the...
It definitely is, I would say.
It's just like some random vampire. I'm like, no, that's got to be Ford. She just waited
for
him to rise.
No, it's definitely Ford.
All right. That's what I thought, too.
I'm sure they're looking at the grave at the time.
Does it say?
I'm sure they're actually looking at the gravestone.
Yeah, maybe.
At the time.
I got to go back and watch. I mean, I have always thought it was Ford, but
yeah, I think it's definitely Ford.
Online, it was
He's got quite a lot of creature makeup on, though.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, random vampire. And I'm like, but I don't think it's random. So I prefer to believe it was Ford that Spike kept his end of the bargain and changed him.
Yeah.
And then he died instantly, which I enjoy. So that is real. There was I'm trying to think. I guess that's all I have on this. What do you have on this one, my friend?
Well, this week my mind's been blown, which I'll quickly mention at this point in the middle. My good friends Maria and Matthew Trower, my friend Maria's husband Matthew, literally has found these amazing books. He's a massive Buffy fan. Big shout out to him. He's got billions of books already. But he'd found this guide. I've been aware of it before, but not really paid any attention. I've never had copies of it. He bought a later edition the other day, and he has gifted me up to season 3 for now.
Yeah, definitely link
this
him
guy who wrote these, Keith Topping, as a throwaway guide to Buffy for anyone who wants the little bits that we put in, like the little quotes, the music and everything that I've been slogging out finding every week.
He's already done.
And some of the facts are amazing. So this week I've got quite a few little bits. We'll start with the music. Interestingly in this is a point I never knew. On the original trailers and in the intro of this episode, when it was aired in America, which was obviously aired with you before us the first time, it actually had Neverland by the Sisters of Mercy track.
Really?
In the intro and the overlay and in the trailers. And it was initially supposed to be in this episode also, playing in the club. For some reason, that was changed in your country and ours, but originally it first aired with all that. But when it went to DVD and it was secondary aired or aired in repeats, for some reason it was pulled. It said something about copyright. It's not clear what happened. But basically that wasn't used. So instead, it was replaced with a song called Blood of a Stranger by Sean Clement and Sean Murray. Also featured were Lois on the Brink by Willoughby and Reptile by Creaming Jesus, which were pretty much everything that was in the Vampire Club.
Right.
And there was some little bit of music when they were in the Bronze at one little point or wherever they were at the beginning. But yeah, that was the music for this week. But I thought it was very interesting that originally it was supposed to be Sisters of Mercy track and it was pulled.
I love that. I love these
But
little
yeah,
tidbits.
it's great, and this book's been great for it. Couple of other things I must mention. I've been trying to remember to mention her name, and because I got this book, I have. Sarah Michelle Gellar's stunt double. As you say, there's some great fight scenes in this, especially, you know, when they get into the locked basement and everything, and Spike comes in. Great sort of fight scenes. Sophia Crawford, who was Buffy's stunt double pretty much
She's amazing,
all the way through everything.
I think you posted a picture of her the other day with Buffy, and then Spike with his James Marsden with his stunt double.
Amazing
So
people,
cool.
unsung heroes, as we all know, are the stunt people. So shout out to her this week.
That's
And
great.
I've got a billion other things, but yeah, great. Oh, another one. One of the vampires, a cameo in the club, in the sort of worshipper club, was actually the top makeup supervisor, Todd McIntosh, as a cameo in it.
Oh, that's
And he was
cool.
the makeup
As a
advisor for
vampire
2
or as
seasons.
one of the club goers?
Yeah, and he was the makeup advisor for 2 seasons as the main makeup supervisor.
Who did he play in this? Was he just a crowd person?
It
or
was the
he a
guy.
vampire?
It was the guy standing in the coffin who says hi to Sandra as he walks in.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love little
Yeah.
cameos and little Easter eggs.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
That's so much fun.
And I just think that was a really good little thing as well. So yeah, that's what I've got for this
Make
week.
sure you tag this book for this, because that's amazing.
I'm going to, everything will be in description, again, as usual, with links to the songs. And I'm definitely going to tag this guy. I'm going to actually see if I can email him, get a statement for us.
Maybe he can come on and talk to us.
What a gem. He's basically doing what we do and making it easy.
Yeah, I'd love to talk.
What a great guy.
So is that all you have for?
That's what I've got this week for that episode.
Okay, so let's move on then. The next episode is called The Dark Age, and we quickly find out we get to see Ethan Rayne again, as you all remember from the Halloween episode where he changed everybody into their costumes. But it basically opens up with this guy like frantically looking for Giles at night at a school, and the janitor's like reminded me of that whole like Freddy janitor moment. But running in the halls. But so he's like, you know, I need to see Giles, and he's like, well, he'll be in the library, even though it's like nighttime. But so anyway, as he's going, this zombie-ish monster walks up, and he calls her Deidre Page, and then she kills him because that's what friends do. And she kills him, chokes him out. Then she lays down next to his dead body and turns into a pile of goo, which, you know, remnant of I've been slimed.
Yeah.
Then the next day, cops show up to the library to question Giles. And I love that Cordelia just busted in the middle, and she's like, hey, you don't have to be rude. I can take a hit. She's like, what's the hit? He's like, come back later. So they're asking him about this body that they found that's a suspected homicide and had Giles's name and address on his person. So they take him to the police station, or to the morgue rather, to identify the body, which he identifies as a friend of his from London by the names of Philip Henry, who he has not spoken to in 20 years or seen in 20 years. And he looks down at his arm, and there's a tattoo on the corpse of his on the corpse of his arm, on the arm of the corpse. That Giles has a matching one that he always keeps hidden. We come to find out later it is the mark of Igon. But switch over now to the next scene, and Buffy is at the hospital, and she ambushes a bunch of vampires picking up a blood delivery, which is actually kind of brilliant. And then Angel pops in and helps her sweep up the mess, and she's like, how'd you know? He's like, everybody knows about blood delivery day, duh.
Like, I love that as like a little throwaway, like everyone knows about that.
Everyone knows about that. It's like vampires don't go out on Halloween. Everyone knows that. So Giles was supposed to meet Buffy, and now she's getting a little concerned because he's, she's like, I'm going to go to his house and see where he was. And he barely opens the door. He looks like hell. He hasn't shaved. He looks drunk. He looks disheveled, and he blows her off big time. Basically,
kind of hot though. I'm not going to lie.
When he gets a little ruffled up, man, he's so hot.
Giles looks hot. I'm afraid.
And then literally slams the door in her face. So she goes, this is now Saturday, and Xander, Willow, Cordelia, and Miss Calendar have to work on Saturday for some lab thing, and Xander's pissed, but I think secretly, maybe not so much. And so Buffy goes to them and says, Giles is not okay. Like, I think Giles was drinking, and Willow's like, tea? Tell me it was tea. She's like, I don't think it was tea. And normally, not for nothing, it seems weird that you go to but I guess, not knowing their backstory, but even Miss Calendar's like, he was home alone drunk, and she's like, yeah. And I guess it's like, Saturday morning. So, basically at this moment, Giles is going through a list. He's got names on a list, 5 names, himself included. He's already got the first name crossed out. Now he's crossed out his friend that he just ID'd, Philip Henry, and he's calling to try to find Deidre Page. Soon finds out Deidre Page is gone, crosses her out. So now there's only 2 left on the list, and he's starting to panic. He realizes his friends are being systematically killed off. And he's not handling it well. And the other name on the list is Ethan Rayne, which we remember. So
Ethan Rayne.
Yeah, we've met Ethan. So Philip doesn't stay dead like a good boy should, and rises at the morgue and ends up shoving the mortician into the drawer that he came out. Yeah, shoves him in there.
Creative.
At the same time that Giles realizes that this is this Egon, the sleepwalker demon, Willow finds information in Giles's books, and basically it's Egon, Eyghon. He's called the Sleepwalker, and he possesses a host. He can either possess a dead or an unconscious body. And when that body is no longer used to it, it becomes goo, and he moves on to the next body. While Buffy goes to the library to call Giles and tell them what they found out in science lab or computer lab, she catches Ethan in the stacks of the library, and she punches him in the face, which is fun. She calls Giles, and he's like, what do you mean he's there? And tells her he's very dangerous. And, and then undead Philip attacks.
He arrives.
Buffy does trap him in a cage. And then kind of everybody shows up in the library. Giles shows up. Ethan's there, and Philip busts out of the cage, and Buffy takes him out and knocks Jenny Calendar unconscious at the same time.
The wonderful Jenny Calendar, who we love.
Poor girl has really been through a lot already. She
really goes through it in this.
She really does. And then you see the goo touch Jenny Calendar's passed out hand, but nobody seems the wiser. And then she gets up and she's all like, Giles, you saved my life, oh squishy squishy, and she's a little aggressively. So basically
definitely squishy.
He just says, I'm taking Jenny home. Ethan runs away. He takes Jenny to his home, and she tries to take advantage of him, but he is much too
gets
British
a bit
for that.
spicy.
Yeah, she's trying everything, but he's like, nope, that would be taking advantage. You've had a head trauma.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of guy. So basically, at some point, Giles realizes that Jenny was unconscious and what has happened. And then Jenny knocks him out, takes him down. Yeah. Buffy steps in and fights Jenny, knocks her out. At the same time, Willow, Angel, Xander, they have come up with a plan that is either going to work or kill them. And Cordelia helps too. Giles does admit, there's a good scene where he admits to the Scoobies that he created this demon. And they do see a picture of young Ripa, as Ethan calls him. Let me tell you something. that was a sexy man, and he's all
I'll
punk.
tell
He's
you
all like,
something. I have a
Sex
little
Pistols
fact
and
about that photo when we go to the end.
oh, I can't wait for that episode. That's going to be so good. So, here he was. He says, I'm 21. I'm studying in Oxford. I'm doing witchcraft by night. I fall in with the wrong crowd. And wha-bam, we create a demon that we could not control. And it killed our first friend. And now it's going down the line and everybody. So it's 3 down, 2 to go. It's just him and Ethan. So Ethan has gotten the drop on Buffy and knocked her out and tied her up to a table and says, this is going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt me.
Yeah.
And tattoos the mark of Egon on her back, on her shoulder.
Yeah.
So that when the demon, aka Jenny Calendar, busts through the door to get Ethan, she sees this symbol, and right before she came in, he poured acid on his arm.
Didn't it, onto his arm? Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt me because I burnt my hand yesterday on
on
a pan. I have a completely side, but those wrought iron pans you take out of the oven, like you put on the stove top, and then I went to go move it like an idiot. Like I didn't see myself just take it out of the oven, and it's 1,000 degrees.
Also, where you picked a hot pan up and
these three.
Yeah, we've done that.
So again, pouring acid on myself as I'm sitting there with my fingers in ice last night. It's so miserable. And he's like, pour this acid on me. So anyway, Egon busts in, Egon/Jenny. And I know it's Egon because they said it, because at first I thought they're going to think I'm talking about the Ghostbusters guy. But
no, but it's definitely Egon.
Yeah. So Egon shows up in Miss Calendar's body. Angel jumps in and starts choking out Miss Calendar, which, everybody just wants to see every once in a while. And,
yeah.
Sounds like
Ripper
is like, what? And she's like, no, we got an idea. And as she's about to lose consciousness, the demon jumps into Angel's body because he's the next not living body.
Yeah, then the next undead thing around.
And then you watch Angel fight internally with said demon and somehow just beats it. Contains it.
I guess it was a fight of the wills, I'm guessing.
Yeah, he's like, I've dealt with demons before, and this one was just fine. So demon was no match for Angel. Jenny, we see the next day, is having a hard time. I'm sure she remembers a lot of what happened. Most people that are possessed say they at least have a recollection of what happened while it was going on. And I don't think she blames Giles or anybody. I think she's just having a little PTSD moment.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where there's always something.
Yeah, she needs time to contemplate what happened to her. And
I've been pretty busy in the demon world since she came along.
Yeah, she thought this was a good idea, maybe not so much. But so she really doesn't want to see Giles. It's one of those I'll call you when I'm ready sort of things. And Giles is always.
Abby, I've just lost Abby at this moment. I shall stay for now while I'm here. I've got a comment. Angel is always fighting internal demons, Clint. Sorry, I put Clint's comment up. You disappeared.
I did. Somebody
Angel is always fighting internal demons.
So anyway, Buffy and Giles have a nice heart-to-heart at the end. It's a really sweet moment. I love their little, times where all of a sudden Buffy sees him as a human instead of just an adult, a teacher, a boss, a watcher. She sees him as a human being, and I think it levels them both a little bit because they see how much they really do have in common at the end of the day. And that Rupert was a youngster once, a kid. And even though she can't picture him, what does she say? I bet even his diapers were tweed, she sees him as this very put together remnant of Wesley later on, and we do find out that Giles really does like the Bay City Rollers. So that's what it ends with.
Which is odd, really, I think. You would think the character is portrayed as Ripper. It wouldn't be the Bay City Rollers.
I mean, I thought that was kind of fun. But you got to figure he's not that much older than. I mean, he really
but it would have been something like Iron Maiden or something, wouldn't it? Just for the type of guy
Sex Pistols. He seems to me more of a punk,
Yeah, I've seen English punk personally, but
More power to you, sir. So that was the episode of the Dark Age. We don't get to see Oz again yet, which made me sad. But
Yeah, it's not
I do want to
long.
mention in the last episode, which I kind of only touched on, is that we did get a lot of Drusilla isms, and one day I'm gonna just. I think you can go on IMDb and look up quotes by person. I just want everything she's ever said in a book.
Yeah,
That's all I
she
want.
said some absolutely amazing sentences
I know, I love it.
in
So
every time she's been in
what
it.
do you think about the Dark Ages, my friend?
I love it. There's things I like about this one. I don't know if you noticed. You know what I'm like, because we talk a lot about things we watch. It looks different. It's very. It seems a cleaner shot, quite darker. Also, facts-wise, I found out that it was the first one that they put the rating up in age in your country. They put it to a TV 14.
Really?
Whereas there was no much more violence than usual. But for
No,
some
but they
reason,
might
they
have had
decided they
some.
wanted it.
It's season 2, so maybe they got some feedback and people.
Yeah, I think that's maybe what happened. But when I looked at how nicely I thought it shot every, there's some bits with, as I said, you said with Giles when he's dishevelled and he's drunk but it looks great. The lighting's great. It's me,
It's
like it
shot.
looks so crisp for when it was.
Yeah, it's
And
shot
then I read
beautifully.
and I realised it's actually Seth Green's dad again who directed this episode.
See, I gotta watch for that. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I'm noticing that the direction and the way they're shot in Seth Green's dad's eye.
Style.
I love
Yeah,
that. I'm
that's
finding that
awesome.
as a big nice thing for it as a rewatch for me. I mean, I feel sad for Jelly Calendar also in this. As we've said, you've touched on it already. Poor girl. Something
It's
happens to
just
her.
beginning for her.
It's so yeah. Well, we won't go too far with that, obviously, but oh bless her. It only gets worse.
Bless her
There was a
heart.
couple of things of music this week again. Small things. At the beginning, Buffy's doing a calisthenics, whichever one.
Calisthenics, yeah.
Calisthenics.
Exercise.
The Great
Aerobics.
Guru book says that it sounds like KLF's 3am Eternal as a sample, but it can't necessarily be that because that sample has been used for 30 years in a billion other dance records. But it sounds very similar to the same sample that's in the KLF 1991 3am Eternal. Sounds a bit like that, but other music stuff than that, all we really had was that in that one. Yeah, that was the only music we had in that one this week. We had references. There's some strange references in this one, which I did like. We've got things like Hamlet. We've got ER references to The Sound of Music at the end. Frank Sinatra.
Remember The Sound of Music? What was the ER references?
I'm not sure about it, but I think it was something to do with the blood. When they went to the
yes, okay, when the doctors
something to do with something to do with something. I think it was Dr. Green or something like that. It was a Dr. Green reference. I think
okay,
I need to check that further, but this is what we've got here. But then we've got the I'll Be Seeing You thing coming up again as a recurrence from Halloween with Ethan Rain.
I'll be seeing you.
And then we've also got that little bit where I'm Under Your Skin, which was also said again in Halloween, which is said by Jelly Calendar when she's the demon, when she's in Giles's house. So again, Josh
I
is
love the look. I never would have picked up on that.
Oh, we've got a Roland Red.
Hi, hi, ladies.
Hi, Adam. Nice to see you, love. Thank you for joining us this evening. But yeah, that's about all I had this week. 2 great episodes. I'm actually pumped for getting to the next 2 for obvious reasons.
Yes, and so next week we have a part 1 and part 2. What's My Line? Part 1 and part 2, which is exciting, which is why we did the 3 episodes last week, because we wanted to make sure that we did.
Yeah, we are trying to make it, aren't we, so that we can at least be in order. We don't want to be splitting up any 2-parters or any continuation story that's anything too
right. So we'll always try to avoid that, or if we have crossovers or things like that.
Exactly, which could be coming up in the next couple of
in the next season. season 4. No, we have 2 seasons, but
Yeah. Well, we're going through them quite quick now.
I know, I'm so happy. So next week is What's My Line part 1 and 2, which where the job fair comes to town, and that's all I'll say about it so far. But anybody that had to deal with those job fairs in high school, it's and you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, which is
we would have careers day, which would be very similar to job fair. I feel I get the idea. I'm sure it was the same thing. We called it different things.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. It's really
no, me neither. Let's just not grow up.
All right.
Let's just say and use the yellow crayons all day.
I mean, I like the way you think, my friend. I really do.
And that's why we do this every week.
Let us thank all the people we need to thank one more time. Let us thank the Hamneyville Horror Podcast Group.
As always.
And horror group Scream Until You Like It.
Of course. Mike Mouse.
Perfect Turd Podcast for giving us a
Perfect Turd Podcast. Horror movies of the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
And 90s.
They like to make it really long. Does Adam?
Which is just so much fun, as long as you can keep it in a freaking timeline that they say.
Also, shout out to the amazing Matthew Trower again for the book. We love that. Thank you.
And we'll
I'm trying to convince him to come on. He's not buying it at the moment.
I would love that because I want to order that book. I love all
honestly.
Stuff.
Matthew, who sorted me this book out, he knows so much more than we do. He would be so great to come on. He's reluctant at the moment. I'm working on him.
You're so good. I love you.
Oh, right, Maria's in the chat actually.
Thank you so much.
This is his lovely wife, Maria.
Hi, Maria.
Thanks for joining us. We love you.
So
Thank
much.
you.
Did we forget anything that we need to add?
Oh, I'll quickly shout out Maria's business. I know it's local to me, but anyway, in my local area, every paw counts. She does dog walking, animal sitting, pet care. She basically cares for your little babies while you're away, or when you're working, or on holiday, or whatever. She's looked after my babies for years, so she's amazing. So I'll shout her out just for that.
All right, I love you all so much.
Yeah, we love you. We'll speak to you next week.
Tell your lovely husband hi from me. I'll talk to y'all soon.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Finger guns, pew, pew. Every time it's going to shut off.
Sure. All right.